I'm Hala Garani coming to you live from southwest London, the scene of this morning's terror incident on a busy commuter train. Here's what we know. The device exploded on a packed underground train during rush hour, 8:20 a.m. local. It injured 22 people. Thankfully, no life-threatening injuries. Witnesses describe hearing a blast and then seeing flames. And also, luckily, the doors were then just starting to open. Police say none of the injuries are thought to be serious, as I mentioned, and this is believed to be the device in question that was used in the attack. You see it there on the images. A British security source told CNN that a timer was found with it. The explosion took place as the train was arriving at Parsons Green Station in West London. If you're familiar with London, this is the southwestern part of the city near Fulham Broadway, that area. London's mayor says a hunt is now underway to find the person responsible. Matthew Chance is here with me with the very latest on what we know. So talk to us a little bit about what we know about the device, what we know about it, how sophisticated or not it was.
Well, we know, first of all, it was a plant and leave type device. In other words, it was put there by an individual who then left the vicinity. And that's an interesting departure from the other kinds of terrorist attacks that London has suffered over the course of the past 6 months, 12 months or so. And so that's obviously going to be investigated, and that's why there's this manhunt underway right now, because they're looking not just for the person who organised this, they're looking for the person that actually put that device on that tube train with the intent, according to Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, to cause mass casualties. It was an attempt, again, at a sophisticated device. There was a timer in that device, and so it was that's a difficult thing to create. It didn't go off. It was a bomb in a bucket in a shopping bag in the end. So it aspired to be a sophisticated device, but fortunately for everybody on that tube, it didn't really work out that way.
And it highlights the risk also, and also the random aspect of some of these attacks. I mean, frankly, if you would have asked me to predict where someone would try to commit an attack, I wouldn't have thought Parsons Green on the district line. I mean, so that adds to some of the tension.
It's such a metro network, a vast public transport service, and of course you could be targeted anywhere, and so it makes it impossible to police, short of actually closing the whole thing down, which is the place no one wants to go to. But it speaks to a much broader problem as well. There are thousands, 3,000 people in this country, according to the Metropolitan Police, who are under observation because of suspicion of carrying out or plotting terrorist acts. Obviously this has brought into sharp focus the challenge and the extent of the problem facing the authorities, and the authorities are facing a lot of pressure now, of course, because if this is one of those 3,000, if this is one of those people who was known to the security services and they didn't act, that's going to translate potentially into political pressure on the government.
By the way, we're hearing helicopters overhead, and this is all part of the police hunt for the suspect as well.
Yes, there are helicopters overhead. You can see behind us here there are police in this part, Parsons Green, and the whole area has been cordoned off, partly because obviously they're still looking for the individual concerned, and they want to make sure that there are no further devices in this area. But there's also a sort of gold standard that the London police and the British police impose on incidents like this. They go in big straight away, then if necessary they scale down. So that's why we've seen such a large police presence on this occasion. All
right, let's hope they apprehend this suspect. Thanks very much, Matthew Chance, with the very latest there on this incident, this attack, this attempted larger attack. A security source tells us it was intended to be more damaging than it was. The British Prime Minister Theresa May is chairing an emergency meeting called Cobra on this incident. Earlier she tweeted, "My thoughts are with those injured at Parsons Green and emergency services who are responding bravely to this terrorist incident." Prime Minister May is expected to make a statement shortly. We'll of course bring that to you live as it happens. Well, it wasn't only British Prime Minister Theresa May tweeting, it was also the American President Donald Trump announced this incident in London and called for tougher action to stop terrorism. Earlier he tweeted, "Loser terrorists must be dealt with in a much tougher manner. The internet is their main recruitment tool, which we must cut off and use better." A short time ago, London police gave an update on the attack and called on the public to come forward with information. Listen.
Good morning. I want to give you an update on this incident. I want to talk briefly about the incident, about the police response, and what we need from the public at this time. So firstly, in relation to the incident, as you've reported, at 8:20 this morning at Parsons Green Tube Station, there was an explosion on a tube train. Police have attended. We now assess that this was a detonation of an improvised explosive device. As you'll have seen, the reports of 18 injuries, and I understand most of those to be flash burns. The scene currently remains cordoned off and the investigation continues. In terms of the police response, as you'd expect, well-practiced command structures have come into shape. An operation led and coordinated by the Metropolitan Police, working with our colleagues from British Transport Police and others. The investigation is being led by the Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Command and National Counter-Terrorism Policing Network. And there are many urgent inquiries ongoing now with hundreds of detectives involved, looking at CCTV, forensic work and speaking to witnesses.
All right, so as you heard there, the investigation is underway. I'm joined now by Nick Botterill, who's a local councillor here. Thanks for joining us. First of all, we were discussing the CCTV cameras, the security cameras. London, I think, is the city with the most security cameras per capita. But you were telling me here, because of the trees, you have fewer of them.
There will be fewer around here simply because the tree cover is a practical issue. But the underground network is very heavily covered by cameras, and the trains.
What are you hearing about this manhunt? I mean, obviously, people are going about their lives, but it's still unnerving for this to happen at Parsons Green Station in the middle of rush hour.
Well, it is, and I've spoken to a number of residents since the incident, and some people were actually in this area when people were coming out of the tube station this morning, and there were a number with, bumps and scratches and things like that. Presumably these are people who didn't go to hospital, haven't been recorded in the casualties or anything like that, but, very, very disturbing to have that sort of thing happen in what is just generally a very leafy, pleasant area. We're very, very sort of focused on London in the sense that most of the people here work in the central area. More people go to work using the underground here than any other borough in London.
And talk to us about the local authority response. I mean, what goes on when something like this happens?
There's an agreed way of handling these things, and I'm the local councillor on the ground. I'm not the council administration. But the council administration, I understand, has been working hand in hand with the security forces, who have done a fantastic job, I have to say. The police were on the scene very, very quickly. Fire brigade, the whole area has been, they've arrived in the area, they've cordoned it off, they've evacuated people where necessary.
Because they really put it in the UK, to explain to our viewers, the gold standard response, which is just go all in, and then if you need to scale down, scale down.
Exactly. This has been the traditional response to these sorts of incidents, is to actually throw everything at it to start with, and then, as you find out more, as you understand the incident better, to then scale down if necessary.
What would you tell people who are watching this around the world, as we're seeing really internationally, who are starting to think, wow, London gets a terrorist attack every month, every 2 months? What would you say?
Yes, I mean, I think grim determination is the mood of the day. That's what my residents are saying today. I'm afraid this is part of living in a big city in the modern world, and or in the Western world, and it's very sad, but I'm afraid these things happen, and I think there's an awful lot more incidents which would have happened had it not been for the actions of the security services.
Because the security services do foil and prevent many attacks, and it's just the odd one that kind of gets through the net.
Well, I wouldn't want to speculate, but that might be why somewhere like this, which is certainly less in the eye of the storm than the central area of London, that might be why this has happened here. Although we do understand that it was probably went off prematurely and wasn't necessarily expected for this area.
Nick Botterill, a local councillor here, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very
much. We really
much.
appreciate your time on CNN. Earlier, my colleague Nina Dos Santos spoke to a woman who lives right here in this neighborhood of Parsons Green. She saw the immediate aftermath of the incident this morning.
I was coming out of my flat, switched back onto the railway line, so I was looking up at the train and I heard screams, which I couldn't quite place because it's noisy in the morning and kids around, and I couldn't work out quite where I was coming from. There's a school nearby. And then the train had stopped and I was looking up and I just thought maybe there's something going on over there, but people seem to still be getting on the tube. But then they looked like they were all trying to get off. And then a lady ran into my close, asking for somewhere safe to go. She'd lost her shoes and had been on the platform. So we went back into my flat, just trying to piece together what happened and find out what had gone on. Then about half an hour after that, we were asked to evacuate. So everyone in the blocks was sent out onto the street.
And that lady who was in the tube carriage, what exactly did she describe to you?
She had no idea what had happened because everyone was just running and screaming. So she just knew that she had to get off the platform. But I think she said that even as she was running off, people didn't realise and were still trying to get on the tube. So she had no clue what had happened, just that she helped. And everyone was the platform, I think. So she said there was lots running out. So yeah.
Now, you're evacuated from your property for the foreseeable future. How do you feel about this kind of incident happening in this kind of area?
You just don't expect it to be right by your home. So, you know, all my neighbours and we've all been out this morning just trying to piece together how it can be so close to home. Obviously, it's terrifying. And a lot of my neighbours have children and that are in school and worrying about where they are and things. So, you know, it's really frightening.
To describe this area to me as a local resident. How long have you lived here and what's it like?
I've been living here for probably about 12, 13 years. So, you know, the reason for living here is it feels safe and it kind of feels out of the city centre. And obviously we're all thinking about it every day of all the attacks that have happened. So you kind of have that sense, but at least I don't live anywhere central. I don't work anywhere central. You kind of have that sense of you're on the tube, it's above ground and you feel safer, or had felt safer, but it's frightening to feel like it can be right by your home.
Do you use the underground from this station every day?
Yeah, most days. And this morning I was actually I was going to walk to work. I work in Chiswick, so I was going to walk, but I was running late, so I was actually standing out there thinking maybe I need to get the tube this morning as obviously as it unfolded. So yeah, I do use the tube quite a lot.
So would your normal commuting time have been this time, and you could have gotten caught up in it if you'd have just stuck to your normal routine?
Yeah, absolutely. It was I think it was around 8:30, and I mean it's often so busy on the platform at 8:30, which is why I sometimes walk, but it is around the time that everyone is leaving to go to work.
All right, a resident of Parsons Green there speaking to Nina about what she witnessed in the aftermath of this incident. We'll have more on our breaking news right